Ibrahim Beljan, 60 years old. Chitin Tokchugli, 54 years old. Cengiz Songa, 47. Fahir Yildiz, 43. Cengiz Akuz, 42. Ali Haidar, 39. Jevged Kilshar, 38. Nishtad Yildirim, 31. Furqan Dogan, 19. All of them Turkish citizens, apart from the last one, who had a dual Turkish-US nationality. We condemn the cold-blooded murder and killing of our colleagues, and we pray for their families at this sad time. These deaths were avoidable, and I lay the blame squarely with the State of Israel. We started sail on Monday, 28th of May, from Antalya towards Gaza, carrying with us humanitarian aid for the people of Gaza. On Sunday, 30th of May, at approximately 10:30 p.m., we had 6 ships in total, 3 cargo ships and 3 passenger ships. The biggest was the MV Marmara with approximately 600 passengers, and it was leading the flotilla. At that time, we spotted approximately 3, which were visually visible with their lights, Israeli military warships. Later on, a 4th one was visible. We, at that stage, requested all the passengers to put on their life jackets. We had several gas masks, which we asked people to carry just in case there was an event and it was important for us to have it. We requested the media team that was with us to start relaying to the world community for assistance. Nothing happened until approximately 4:10 in the morning. At 4:10 a.m., we started hearing something like 8 speedboats approaching the main MV Marmara. As they got nearer, they started firing first sound bombs, followed by tear gas and stun grenades. And as they were approaching more and more closer, people on the decks were panicking, running around. They started picking up whatever they could from the deck and throwing overboard, trying to repel the speedboats approaching more closer to the boat and getting the Israeli soldiers on our ship. The speedboats moved away slightly, and at this stage, the helicopter approached. When the helicopter approached, it started using immediately live ammunition. At no stage, either from the speedboats or from the helicopter, where we warned or a caution was given to us. At no stage at all. When the first victim fell, I did not actually see this, but the head of the flotilla raised the white flag, the very first victim. Despite that, the shooting continued. Soldiers started descending, and I was informed later on that the first 2 soldiers that descended were disarmed by the crew of the MV Marmara. The gun was taken away from them, the handguns. Bullets removed from the guns, and the 2 guns were given back to the Israeli soldiers, emphasizing to them that we were not looking for a conflict. We did not want any violence, and they should not use any violence against the civilians. Further, either it was the same helicopter or more helicopters, it's very difficult for me to say at this stage, approached, and more soldiers started descending. But the main casualties, I believe, because I was moving around between the top deck, the middle deck, and the lower deck, trying to muster volunteers to carry the wounded, trying to get journalists to do whatever they could and try and organize people to stay on strategic positions and get the old people to sit down, as many as possible. The shooting was more, the casualties and the injuries that were caused were mainly, I believe, from the shooting from the helicopter. Because the victims were coming not from just the top deck or at any one deck, but they were coming from the bottom, middle, and the top deck, meaning that whoever was shooting had an aerial view. The first eyewitness death, eyewitness myself, was I was facing the cameras, hoping that the beam was still going through, and somebody fell approximately 2 feet in front of me and died, and he was shot on his back, at the back of his head. That man was not resisting. That man was not carrying anything with him. I ran down to get more help. I did not look up or sideways to see where the shot was fired from. I just ran down to bring some people to help me to carry him down. At this stage, although the surrender, the white flag was waved, as I was informed later on, I felt it was necessary for me to go down and use the tannoy because I didn't hear anybody using it. So I went down myself, and because it was chaotic at the bottom, I picked up the tannoy, and I understand now, I've just been informed that you might have heard my voice in the media because it was picked up to surrender. And I spoke in English very calmly to say that we are only civilians, we surrender, requested my passengers, my colleagues to sit down in their chairs, put their hands on their legs or the tables, and not to make any move. I carried on as long as I could, and I remembered that we had a Hebrew-speaking person. We invited her on to join me so that she could speak in Hebrew as well. Despite our repeated calls, the firing continued. But as the firing was going on, we were trying to get more and more people on the middle deck so that we could be all in one place sitting down and the casualties could be stopped. I requested a member of Knesset who was with us, Hanan Zuebi, to write in Hebrew to say that we had severely injured people with us who needed immediate help, and to put a placard against a window. By now, the Israeli soldiers had surrounded the whole of the boat on the second deck, and no one from that deck could go out. And they all had their guns pointing towards us. Despite having a white flag, being a member of the Knesset, written in Hebrew, the Israeli soldiers pointed a gun and on the light, the red beam light, on her head. So I told her to move back, and she moved back. And that request costed the life of another individual who was lying on the floor, bleeding, and he was shot on his left upper chest. And he died a few minutes later after that plea was made. As time went by, approximately, I would say, from the first shooting towards the end, must have been approximately an hour. We now can calculate that they shot one person every minute. One person was shot every minute. There were 9 fatalities, over 48 people with gunshot wounds, and 6 are unaccounted for.